Okay, couple of days ago, I did the poll on my Instagram that which operating system you use. So I found that majority of people are using Windows instead of Mac OS. So I think it makes sense if I tell you about Windows evolution since the first Windows was released. Microsoft introduced an operating environment named Windows on November 20, 1985 as a graphical operating system shell for MS-DOS in response to the growing interest in graphical user interface. Microsoft Windows came to dominate the world's personal computer market with over 90% market share, overtaking Mac OS, which had been introduced in 1984. Here's a brief look at the history of Windows. Okay, number 1. Windows 1.0. This is where Windows all began. The original Windows 1 was released in November 1985 and was the first true attempt by Microsoft at a 16-bit graphical user interface. It provides an environment which can run graphical programs designed for Windows as well as existing MS-DOS software. Its development was spearheaded by the company founder Bill Gates after he saw a demonstration of a similar software suite known as Vision at Comdex. This was noteworthy because it relied heavily on the use of mouse before the mouse became a popular input tool for the machine. To help users familiarize themselves with this unusual input mechanism, Microsoft has provided a game reversey which relies on mouse control, not the keyboard, to get people used to pushing the mouse around and clicking on the elements on the screen. Number 2 is Windows 2.0. Windows 2.0 is a 16-bit Microsoft Windows graphical user interface based operating environment that was released on December 9, 1987, and it's the successor to Windows 1.0. Windows 2.0 allowed application windows to overlap one another. Unlike its predecessor, Windows 1.0, which could only display tiled windows, Windows 2.0 also implemented more advanced keyboard shortcuts and minimize and maximize terminology as compared to Windows 1.0's iconize and zoom. New features in Windows 2.0 included 16-color VGA graphics. This was also the last Windows version did not need a hard drive. Number 3 is Windows 3.0. Windows 3.0 is Microsoft's third largest product. Released in 1990, this is not an operating system like its predecessors, but instead a graphical operating environment that runs on the top of the DOS. It features a modern graphical user interface GUI in which programs are represented as clickable icons. In contrast to the list of file names seen in its predecessors, later improvements would extend the functionality of the device, one of which included multimedia features for sound recording and playback and features for CD-ROMs. It also includes technical improvements to the memory management to make better use of the capabilities of Intel's 8286 and 8386 processors. Windows 3 added the ability to run MS-DOS applications in Windows, adding multitasking to legacy programs, and embracing 256 colors that gave the interface a more modern, vibrant feel. Before we move to next Windows, if you are enjoying this video and if you like this kind of videos, a sub would be highly appreciated. Number 4 is Windows 3.1. Windows 1 and 2 had point release updates, but Windows 3.1, released in 1992, is notable as it first implemented TrueType fonts that made Windows a viable publishing platform. Minesweeper made his first appearance as well. Windows 3.1 required 1 MB of RAM to run and allowed first-time control to compatible MS-DOS programs with a mouse. Windows 3.1 was also the first Windows to be released on a CD-ROM. However, it only took 10 to 15 MB until it was loaded on a hard disk. Number 5 is Windows 95. Windows' next major consumer-oriented release, Windows 95, came out on August 24, 1995, although remaining MS-DOS based. Windows 95 added support for 32-bit native programs, plug-in and play hardware, preemptive multitasking, long file names of up to 255 characters, and improved stability over its predecessors. Windows 95 also introduced a new object-oriented user interface that replaced the previous program manager with the Start menu, taskbar, and Windows Explorer shell. Microsoft Windows 95 has been a major commercial success. Microsoft released 4 Windows 95 OEM service releases, each approximately equivalent to a service pack. Windows 95 support ended on December 31, 2000, and expanded Windows 95 support ended on December 31, 2001. Number 6 is Windows 98. Windows 95 was followed up with the June 25, 1998 release of Windows 98, which introduced the Windows driver model, USB composite system support, ACPI support, hibernation, and multi-monitor configuration support. Windows 98 also included Internet Explorer 4 integration by Active Desktop and other Windows software major update aspects. Microsoft released second edition of Windows 98 and enhanced version of Windows 98 in May 1999. Among other updates, Windows 98 SE has included Internet Explorer 5.0 and Windows Media Player 6.2. Mainstream Windows 98 support ended on June 30, 2002 and expanded Windows 98 support ended on July 11, 2006. On number 7 is Windows ME. Considered a low point in the Windows series by many, at least until they saw Windows VISTA. Windows Millennium Edition was the last Windows based on MS-DOS and the last one in the Windows 9X line. Released in September 2000, it was twinned with Windows 2000, the consumer-oriented operating system targeted at the enterprise market. This introduced some crucial ideas including more automated machine recovery methods to the customers, i.e. 5.5, Windows Media Player 7 and Windows Video Maker all turned up for the first time. Autocomplete also appeared in Windows Explorer, but the operating system was incredibly slow, not properly configured, and generally bad. Number 8 is Windows NT. Windows NT's first version was Windows NT 3.1, which was designed for workstations and server computers. It was intended to support MS-DOS-based user version of Windows. Gradually, the Windows NT family was extended into the general-purpose product line of Microsoft's operating system for all personal computers, deprecating the Windows 9X series. Starting with Windows 2000, NT was dropped from the name of the product and is only included in the list for product edition. Number 9 is Windows 2000. Windows 2000 is a business-oriented operating system that Microsoft developed as part of the operating system family of Windows NT. It was released on December 15, 1999 for production and launched on February 17, 2000 for retail. It is the successor to Windows NT 4.0. 4 versions of Windows 2000 were released: Professional, Server, Advanced Server, and Data Center Server. Every Windows 2000 version was aimed at a specific market, sharing a core set of features including several system utilities including the Microsoft Management Console and standard system administration applications. Windows 2000 implemented NTFS 3.0 encrypting file system as well as basic and dynamic disk storage. Support for disabled people has been enhanced for Windows NT 4.0 with a range of new assistive technologies, and Microsoft has expanded support for various languages and local information. On number 10 is Windows XP. Windows XP, the next big version of Windows NT, was released on 25 October 2001. The launch of Windows XP was aimed at unifying the consumer-oriented Windows 9X series with the architecture introduced by Windows NT, a move which Microsoft promised would offer better performance over its predecessors based on DOS. Windows XP will also include a redesigned user interface, an improved start menu, and a task-oriented Windows Explorer, simplified multimedia, networking features, Internet Explorer 6, integration with Microsoft's Net Passport services, device compatibility with previous Windows versions, and remote support functionality. Windows XP was Microsoft's longest-running operating system, having seen 3 major upgrades and support until April 2014. 13 years after its initial release date, before it was discontinued, Windows XP was being running on an approximate 430 million PCs. Number 11 is Windows Vista. Windows Vista was released for volume licensing on November 30, 2006 and for users on January 30, 2007. After a lengthy development process, this contained a range of new features ranging from a revised shell and user interface to major technical improvements concentrating on security features. It was available in a variety of different versions and was subject to some criticism such as drop in performance, longer boot time, criticism of new UAC, and stricter license agreement. Vista's server counterpart, Windows Server 2008, was released in early 2008. PC gamers have seen a boost from Microsoft's inclusion of DirectX 10 technology by Vista. Windows Media Player 11 and IE7 also introduced an anti-spyware system alongside Windows Defender. Vista also featured speech recognition, Windows Movie Curator, and Photo Gallery, and was also the first Windows to be released on DVD. Number 12 is Windows 7. Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2 was released as RTM, released to manufacturing, on 22 July 2009, while the former was released to the public on 22 October 2009, 3 months later. Unlike its predecessor, Windows Vista, which introduced a vast range of new features, Windows 7 was meant to be a more oriented gradual update to the Windows line, promising to be consistent with software and hardware already compatible with Windows VISTA. Windows 7 has multi-touch support, a new Windows shell with an improved taskbar, a home networking system called Home Group, and performance improvements. This was faster, more reliable, and easier to use, making it the most consumers and company operating system that would upgrade from Windows XP, totally ignoring Vista. On number 13 is Windows 8. Windows 8, the Windows 7 successor, was officially launched on 26 October 2012. A number of major improvements have been made on Windows 8, including the implementation of a Microsoft Metro design language-based user interface and enhancements for touchscreen devices such as tablets and all-in-one PCs. These improvements include the Start screen, which use large tiles that are more convenient for touch interactions and allow constantly updated information to be displayed, and a new class of apps that are specifically developed for use on touch-based devices. The new version of Windows needed a minimum resolution of 1024 by 768 pixels, effectively making it unfit for netbooks with 800 by 600 pixel screens. Windows 8 was quicker than previous Windows update and provided support for the new much faster USB 3.0 computers. It launched the Windows Store, which provides universal Windows programs that run only in full screen mode. Like in other Windows versions, applications could also be installed by third parties, but they could only use the standard Windows desktop environment. Many didn't welcome the radical design. Microsoft tried to walk a fine line between touchscreen support and mobile users, but ultimately mobile users preferring to use a conventional mouse and keyboard to monitor Windows and not a touchscreen thought Windows 8 was a step back. On number 14 is Windows 8.1. A free point release to Windows 8 released in October 2013, Windows 8.1 represented a shift to Microsoft's annual software updates and was the first step in Microsoft's U-turn on its new user interface. Windows 8.1 reintroduced the Start button from the Windows 8.1 desktop view, which brought up the Start page. Users could also choose to boot directly into the Windows 8.1 desktop, which is best suited for those using a mouse and keyboard desktop computer than the touch-focused Start screen. On number 15, Windows 10. Microsoft announced Windows 10 as the successor to Windows 8.1 on September 30, 2014. It was released on July 29, 2015 and fixes user interface flaws first introduced with Windows 8. Changes on PC include the return of the Start menu, a virtual desktop program, and the ability to run Windows Store apps on the desktop and not in full screen mode inside Windows. Windows 10 integrates multi-factor authentication technology based on standards FIDO Alliance. The operating system provides improved support for biometric authentication via the Windows Hello platform. Devices with compatible cameras, for example Intel RealSense, allow users to sign in with iris or face recognition similar to Kinect. That's all for now. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. My name is Hamza, this is Tech Fielder, and I'll catch you in the next one.